So
whenever you're good to go.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Cut that off.
Didn't see nothing.
didn't see
Fantastic.
nothing.
What about the voice?
So what? Heard what?
Yeah, that's more like it.
All right, good. Good.
That's that thinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 26 of the Gimson and Rosko show. Today we are joined by Gus.
Gus.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that bell button, you fucking bellend.
I'm glad you didn't say that on the last one.
Yeah, we didn't high five on the last one, man.
We didn't even swear. We didn't swear. He swore. I was like, oh, he said shit.
Oh, are we allowed to now?
Don't say fuck or bugger.
I've been holding the cunts for fucking ages. Fuck, cunt, shit, cunt.
Yeah. Nah, big up Manny though.
Yeah,
That
no,
was a nice one.
so if anyone tuned in last week, obviously it was like 5 minutes ago for us, but fucking anyone who did watch it. It's like,
Oh, never
a
mind.
week ago.
I can't bother to change my talk now. So Gus, 3 good things that happened to you today.
You've chosen a bad day to ask me 3 good things. Jesus wept. Well, I watched Southampton play. That was good. Like the first time I've been down to watch Saints play for ages.
Yeah, sick.
And that's about it, really.
Is that the first time since COVID and lockdown?
Not since COVID. No, it was probably like early 2019 because I was over in France and then went straight France to Cali. And I was going to be coming back, but I ended up going to France again. Got offered a job, started working there for a bit, and then stayed there. So
Yeah.
I haven't been back in the UK. I've been back 6 months, give or take now, but before that it was nearly 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
So even before COVID, I hadn't watched any games.
So is football like events back to normal with fans now? Everyone's
Pretty
back
much, yeah. As far as I can tell, some places restrict stuff, but I think everywhere I've been's been rock on. I've just done a couple of festivals as well, and like Green Man was like 25, 30,000 people.
Okay.
You know, so it was all back to normal pretty much.
Anything else?
I can't really think. I've just literally drove from Bristol to Southampton to here, really. So there's not.
Did
really
you see
been
anything
much
nice?
scope.
On
Mate, I
the
went to
drive?
Southampton.
Oh.
You know, I went on the M4 to the M3 to Southampton, back onto the M4, M3 down to the M4, and then I went. Bath looks nice. I got to see a bit of blue sky Bath in the
There you
sunshine,
go.
which is
There's
good.
number 2.
You know, I spoke to you. No, that's too lame, even for me.
That's dead.
That's dead in the water. No, I mean, I cleaned up after my flatmates had a party. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cleanliness is next to godliness and all that shit.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's just, yeah, you just chose a day where I've done bugger all, really. Sit in a van.
So you've been travelling, haven't you? Were you away whilst fucking in the midst of the fucking pandemic?
Yeah, so I was about an hour from the hotspot, if that. Yeah, I was picking people up from Geneva Airport. That was one of the first airports they registered it landing in Europe. And then my job was to stick about 8 people in a metal box and drive it to a ski resort. So yeah, we got hit pretty hard straight off the bat. And I stayed there. The choice was come here to no work or chill in the Alps. So I stayed there and picked up a bit of work here and there. Did a bit of gardening and stuff, just make the time pass, you know, and like live the lockdown life in the mountains rather than coming back here. It's made more sense, man.
Nice place to live. We had fucking Jay on the other week, and him and Chris, they were in fucking Iceland.
Yeah.
And the news was all on, and they're like, do we cut it short? And he said they were like just travelling for Iceland, like fucking doing this trip, and it's like no one around, like the whole country in lockdown. It's just them fucking driving through the ice. Like,
I'd be alright.
Mate,
it'd
that
be
was the
right.
thing, like, so it kind of went from being people everywhere to nobody anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I was going on like 10k hikes up through the mountains and stuff and not seeing a damn soul. Whereas beforehand, you're passing people every couple of minutes, you know, and it was amazing. You know, for me, that being out in the mountains was unbelievably good. I controversially quite enjoyed the whole lockdown.
well, it's like fucking, because like being in the mountains, the fucking quality of the air is better anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine the quality of the air with fucking
No one about.
no
Mate,
traffic.
there's
around
no
the
tracks in the
You know
sky,
what I mean?
no nothing. Like light pollution dropped massively. We could see loads of like constellations you can't normally see and stuff.
Yeah.
The skies were so clear. It was amazing. You know,
You forgot to mute it again. You fucking, yeah, because the fucking images from Venice and that as well, innit? Like they were sending pictures of that. Like, fucking
yeah. I've got mates
Fish
who live
and
just by there, so
fucking-
the dolphins and stuff are coming back in. But that's just because there's no fucking boats.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't got the boats disturbing the water, the animals will come back.
Yeah.
Reaching areas where they're not going to get hurt anymore. You know, but then basically I went from France. I went over to Mexico. Was there for 16, 17 days when I saw some friends in Cali. Ended up staying there for 4 months. Then came back down to Mexico for 6 weeks and back here in April. So I saw about 3 or 4 different countries worth of how they were dealing with things, and
Mexico did quite well, didn't they?
well, they seem to be. I don't know what the actual stats were on how well they actually did, but I felt safer with regards to stuff they put in place. Like you go into a shop, they temperature check, they give you hand wash and stuff like that, you know. But
Because they do like a mass thing of ivermectin against the who's.
I'm not 100% sure on any of that jazz. Like with regards to what they were using to combat it, I didn't look too much into it. It was nice to be somewhere where there wasn't a hell of a lot of people. You know, I went to Chichen Itza, which is one of the 7 modern wonders of the world. There's like 100 people there. Normally it's thousands of people and you can't see shit. But we got like tour guides fighting for you, which is kind of nice. But then it also kind of lands how hard this hit a lot of other places.
Yeah.
You know, we had options here. In Mexico, they didn't have shit. You know, they've got, basically all of the trade they relied on was tourism. So many little street markets, shops and stuff on the side of the road. Desperate for your trade type thing.
I was speaking to someone about Thailand the other day, and they were saying Thailand's fucking in that sort of boat now as well. And stuff. Fucking.
Well, now the tourism's gone, it's a big hit to a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, huge. And those places don't have the government structures we do, so they don't get the help. You know, so we could apply for loans or grants or some kind of help. They can't do
Furlough and
fucking
all that
anything.
shit, innit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can't do shit. So it was interesting to see that side of it. And then I also was in America for when Biden got voted in. And I was in San Francisco wandering around there. They were boarding everything up. That was...
Oh, yeah, you were on the phone to me, innit?
Video called you, wasn't it? Just wandering around. I'm like, this is freaky.
Yeah, it was weird.
Like, massive windows boarded up, everything. Massive, like Macy's and things like that. Loads of shops just locked down. It's mental.
This is for the lockdown, not for Biden.
No, this was for
them,
Biden. That was for the
presidential election.
Because basically,
they were thinking there was gonna be riots.
in case Trump won, I guess, you know, where they'd kicked off before, and then in case Trump won, they just decided it's not worth the risk, lock it down.
Or lost.
I was listening to Bro the other day, and he was talking about civil war in America, and he goes like, there is a civil war. He goes, but what you got to take into account, when people think civil war, you think fucking everyone out with guns shooting each other. And he goes, well, it's kind of getting like that in some areas where there have been guns fired. You look like, and like people are like, oh, you're on about there is no country. He goes, people fucking marched and got into the Capitol.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's not a civil war? Like, that's fucking like, it's like, well, yeah, I suppose that is a little bit crazy.
So the mad thing was, I was there for that. It's literally not a coup, it's an insurrection, an armed insurrection.
Okay.
So they've gone to kind of overthrow the government, kind of, but it's not a military coup type thing. So they're not storming the place. They still wanted, apparently, to try and respect the democracy and all that jazz. But yeah, I was there for that as well, and it was fucking interesting because I was living with a guy who he kind of claims to be a bit more liberal than he is. They think liberal is, to them, their version of liberal is hella right wing anyway, you know. And I was living with this guy, and he's a mild Trump fan. And he was denying. Well, it's weird. Well, basically, you've got different types of Republicans. You've got Republicans, conservatives, and Trump Republicans. So the Trump Republicans are the rawhide. Trump can do no wrong. He's basically God.
Yeah.
The conservatives are kind of like, okay, Trump kind of wants our thing, but you know, it is what it is. And the Republicans are just, well, we don't vote for the Democrats. So it doesn't really matter. It's not a matter of Trump. It was more kind of, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then just talking to people. So it was the mother of the guy, my friend of mine, she's a Democrat, but her son-in-law's a rawhide Trump fan.
Right.
You know, and him just talking to me about it, and I'm just presenting him factual information, and he's point blank denying it. You know, there was no weapons there. I'm like, there's pictures of a dude with a gun and bats and loads of stuff. And I'm like, a bat's still a weapon.
Yeah.
You know, whether you like it or not. Just because their level of weapons up here to the rest of us, like, you know, and he was losing his mind over it and claiming it was all bullshit and they never did anything wrong. And then he relates back to the BLM riots and stuff. And he's like, well, they did that. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't try and take over the government, mate. Yeah. You know, and I didn't condone them smashing stuff up either. So your kind of point's moot.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, it was yes, it's kind of interesting just seeing the other side of things, you know.
It's bonkers, isn't it? The polarization of like having to pick a team or pick a side, and it's like, well, why can I not have different views on different
tribal
topics?
as fuck? It's a divide and conquer tactic.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I don't want to sound too conspiracy, but it is divide and conquer. You know, the fuel in the fire. There's petrol shortage at the moment. It's a slight shortage come from BP stating that we don't know if we've got enough drivers. Straight off, everyone panic buys.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of media manipulation as well as the big businesses trying to get as much as they can out of people. You know?
It's we said about that earlier about the fucking fuel thing. It's the same thing. The media, these fucking like, You just hop on it and just fucking ramp
That's
it
the
up.
thing. It's like it's one of those. I kind of feel a bit weird about it because I don't trust a lot of things that the media say, but to downright blanket ignore stuff, it's a dangerous route to take. You know,
Yeah.
because you leave yourself open to. Basically, by trying to be open-minded and see everything, you shut a whole avenue off. So therefore, you close your mind anyway.
Yeah.
So by trying open-minded, you end up closing the crap out of it, and you end up channeling down this not mainstream media. I mean, there's a lot to be said for mainstream media in regards to if it's not factually correct and they print it, they're liable to get sued.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a lot of the things you hear from the media, you can take a big old sack of salt with you and go, okay, there's truth in here somewhere.
Yeah.
But I've just got to whittle out the crap, and it's a dangerous route to take. To just a lot of people are doing it is just push mainstream media to one side.
See, I've had to do it because I just can't fucking the fear and the downright like fucking ramping up of fucking.
But you control that. You control how ramped up you get by it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
if
that's how
you're
you
looking-
control it by not looking at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then do you
know
really?
what I mean?
Because then you're just shutting it off. So you're not controlling anything. Because if you're not actually encountering the thing, how are you controlling it? You're just blinkering yourself
But
off.
is it
of
important? Is it important to know absolutely everything that's going bad
I'm not
in
saying
the world?
it is at all.
That's what I mean. So it's like
But then is it important to ignore absolutely
I don't
everything
think
that's
I don't
going
think
bad?
it's
And that's the
completely
danger
ignore.
of going down
It's like
that
you
other end,
look at something, don't you? Yeah. So you like let's take anything. Take anything that the media might publish in the paper. You can pay attention to, like you say, that there's truth in something somewhere. So yeah, you know, there's a fuel shortage. All right, there's a fuel shortage. Have I got fuel? Yes. Do I need any more? No, probably not for 2 weeks. Do I need to look in more to it? No,
you're
probably
working
not.
rationally, which is one of the biggest problems I think we have in the world is irrational thinking. People aren't logically breaking it down and going, all right, we might be short on this, so what do we do? Oh my God, I've got to buy everything. You're like, no, wait a minute. See if you need it, then go and buy some.
Yeah, it was like the same at the beginning of the pandemic. With the fucking toilet roll, the pasta. It was just a fucking like.
I mean, bad
And you got these
news
poor
sells.
old fuckers. Did you see the old dares in there, like fucking like trying to do their shopping? And it's like fucking these greedy bastards have gone in and just fucking taken all the pasta. And now you fucking go to the supermarket and it's just fucking riddled with pasta because they fucking overordered it because everyone had bought it before. Now they can't get rid of the
There's
stuff.
nobody wants it. They got enough. But it's one of those. It's kind of you've got to be careful where you aim your sight type thing. You've got to take in everything, and you've got to look in the left, look at the right, go look at everything that's coming at you, and use critical thinking and trust your own instinct to a point. But try and use a factual basis as a barometer, so to speak, or a compass. Sorry, you know, and point yourself in a direction which you can follow a kind of factual source. You know,
There was I can't remember what the art was called. Coleman Hughes was talking about it, and it's really good. So what they do, this app takes all the news sources and they compile it into like right-leaning views, left-leaning views, depending where it's coming from. And they try to basically give you parts of both to give you an unbiased account of what both sides, because the right will like over-report stuff like Islamic extremism.
keep
shit like that.
drilling, yeah.
The left will like underreport that, and then like do you mean like it's the opposite. Like do you mean it's like the left will go
problem
on
we've
about the
got
right
is,
being
like-
racist, and then they'll underplay that, and it's
it's a lack of a central kind of broadcaster, so to speak. We already label everybody left wing, right wing, this, that, and the other. But in reality, most people sit in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, and then we just hear about the noisy ones on either side, which are the most vocal. So they're the ones that do stuff, the ones that get reported on. We don't hear about all of the normal people sitting there going, those guys are mental. And it goes back to the thing called horseshoe politics, where the theory is that basically the political spectrum is kind of shaped like a horseshoe. So most of us sit in the middle here, but you have far left and far right. And once they get down to the bottom bit, they're almost basically the same.
Yeah.
So they're using the same tactics, but claiming they've got different morals and values. But have you really when you're doing the same things?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the far left are saying that they don't discriminate against this, that, and the other, but they do discriminate against the far right. So
So you're discriminating.
You know, and that's the thing. It's
Well,
like,
the whole
we have this
Antifa thing, innit?
all of it. Like people think Antifa's a thing, and it's generally speaking not. You know, but it gets demonized in such a way. You know, the white supremacy thing. Yeah, it's there, but is it on every goddamn street corner like they talk about? It's the scaremongering from either side will happen because it sells papers.
Yep.
You know, and that's all they want to do. They want to sell paper. They drive the rhetoric of fear. You know, and it goes back to, like I said, the critical thinking and trusting enough of your own knowledge. But we've got to make sure that we check our own biases and stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause mine's a left-leaning bias, so I have to check myself and go and look at some right-wing stuff, and then I'm like, yeah, that's mad as shit. I'm glad I don't agree with that. I'm going back over here. But you have to check yourself.
Yeah.
And be careful not to run too heavily down one road and be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I've done it, and always checking yourself. I deliberately stay friends with loads of people from America that are like I'd consider nigh on extremists, just because I see the other side of it then, and it's someone I can actually contact and talk to, and I've sat in a room and had coffee and chatted with them, so it doesn't descend into a slagging match, which it does on every other kind of like format that you try and converse on. So you can actually get through to people. And like I've done long drives with this, like the Trump nutter, and by the end of it, you come to a very similar kind of idea on things, but it just takes me a while to get past his insane emotion, because he's had emotions pumped at him, and he's told to drive on those emotions. And if you're not that, then you're not patriotic, or you're not this, that, and the other. And it's become a very difficult world to engage in politics, to engage in difficult conversations, which I enjoy, and do it in a respectful way, and also come to the surmise at the end of, all right, fair, I don't really agree with what you're saying, but you've come to a reasoned conclusion for you, then fair enough, rather than calling him X, Y, and Z. Because
there is middle ground in everywhere, and I did like there is like. Do you mean it's already proven? Like when you have people who sit there and talk things out in conversations, it's like there will be compromises. There is middle ground. It's like the internet makes everything seem that everyone fucking
see the internet.
This,
right,
like,
so what I've been kind of thinking lately is there's a really interesting kind of thing I've spotted is we're so often using text format. Everything we see is written, and we're not conversing. So when you converse, you relay a tone. When you read something, I read it in the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading something, it doesn't matter how that person has tried to portray that. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm reading that with an angry tone in my head, and it's going to go down there, and I'm going to be like, damn, that was a really angry kind of thingy. But if I'm in a happy mood, then I start reading it with a way more lighter tone. So it becomes a lighter article. And it's a very difficult one.
It's like the words are only fucking 5% of the fucking communication or something is what they say, or something stupid like that, innit?
Yeah. It gets me in trouble all the time sending texts. Like, why were you being like that with me on that text? What? Why do you think I send voice notes? I voice note because you can sense sarcasm in voice notes. Sometimes you can't with messages. You know what I mean?
Because I'm a very blunt responder on
yes,
a text,
you are.
on a text message. It's like I want to fucking go into like, I mean, I'm not writing a novel. It's like yes, no. I mean, like my missus like, yeah, you come across very cold. It's like it's a fucking text message.
What do you want me to do? Project warmth into those letters?
That's the thing. The difference is that will be evidently the people that receive them like that are the ones that try and project warmth or whatever emotion into a text. Whereas we're
Heart
like, yo, safe,
Yeah.
and that's it. And they're like, why were you so short? You're like, I said yo, as in hello, how are you?
I'm safe. Are you safe?
Yeah, everything good. I'm like, what do you want from me here? But for them, they would have gone, oh, hello, my dear, how are you today? I hope you're having a lovely day. And you're like, that's not really how I need to communicate. But that's what I mean. It gets misconstrued and misread, and it's a very dangerous thing nowadays.
And when you've only got 240 characters to fucking do it on something like Twitter, it's like fucking because I found myself like sort of on that rabbit hole in like 2015, 2016. And I got really excited about fucking Jeremy Corbyn and fucking, I thought like, yeah, we're going for some fucking change. And was like, and I got sucked into these big echo chambers, and it was like, whoa, fucking hell, I had to get out.
Brexit bubble.
Yeah, you do.
Happened to me.
And I had to get out. I had to fucking get out because it was like, whoa, I'm just fucking coming into these little fucking chambers, and it's, you do, and then you start feeling anger towards fucking anyone in this. Like, well, hang on a minute, I'm putting myself in this box that I have to be this. Is exactly what you just said, and it's like, no, I need to come out and just.
So just after the whole Brexit thing happened, I deliberately went onto Facebook and like followed loads of right-wing pages. I mean, I couldn't bring myself to follow the Conservatives page, but like right-wing pages and stuff, and things which would then be bringing a different viewpoint into my world type thing, and going out and speaking with people. Like me and my friend Paul, excuse me, he started a little group, and it's called Politics for Everyone. There's like 12 of us in there, like 6 extremely Brexiteers and 6 extremely not, and you just have dialogue with each other, and sometimes it descends into a bit of slagging match, but you rein it in, and we're all kind of like, yo, that's not what this is about. This is here to see both sides and to talk in a not rational maybe, but in a reasonable manner to each other, rather than the rest of the internet being a hotbed of shit. It's just you walk into a fucking comment section, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you've either got extreme left or extreme right shouting racist or woke or whatever at each other, and it became very important.
Are you racist or are you woke?
That's a nice t-shirt right there as well.
Yeah, that's
racist,
racist or woke, or
Yeah.
racist and woke. That'd be an interesting one. I'm woke as fuck, but I hate black people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, man. And it's very difficult. It's difficult to remain open-minded on it with regards to walking into it and going, okay, what am I seeing here? You know, because you naturally lean towards one thing. And when I do lean towards it, I pull myself back and go, let's go over there. See what's on over there. I already naturally gravitate towards that. I don't need that anymore, so let's see what's on over here.
Did anyone teach you to do that? Or was it just fucking something you've kind of grown to do yourself?
Yeah, kind of stuff I just grew to do myself, really. You know?
Insomnia do that to you, right?
It does to a point, yeah. You know, I mean, it's one of those. I think the Brexit thing really sparked it off because my little echo chamber was ruthlessly Remain. And then I was at Glastonbury, I remember, and I woke up and it was like they voted to leave, and you're just like, fuck.
I remember I was there. That was in Glastonbury. I was just like,
And it's a reaction of everybody.
I woke up. I don't know why I looked. I was like, I'm not going to look all weekend. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And I did. The first thing I did, right, it was in the morning. I was like, oh, the Brexit vote's in. So I fucking up all night, like fucking. You know, and it's like, then you look at it, and it's like, oh. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh no, we're all going to be bartering with bottle caps and fucking everything's going to collapse. Like, you know, this fucking, like, oh no. It was like almost like this like sense of doom come over me. It's like, oh no.
Instead, we got a queue
end
for
of civilization.
2 hours for some diesel.
Yeah.
Fuel shortage, yeah.
40 minutes I queued, 10:30 last night I started queuing. I was like, I thought after work I'd be like, yeah, let's be safe. No. They just had a lorry pump thing and people freaking out about it. I'm like, again, it's just...
my missus, she had to go over to her mum's on Friday. My missus' mum had to go to hospital. So she had to go, she had a fall. So she went over to her mum's, waiting there 7 hours for the ambulance to come. On the way home, drove past the petrol station and there was a queue. This is like, she didn't get home till 2 in the morning. I was getting up for work and she was just getting home. She was like, there was 2 ambulances queuing to get into the fucking petrol station.
And these people aren't getting out of the way. You're just like, it's
like
just scum thinking, innit?
Yeah.
You know, it's proper scum thinking, but people like...
There's 2 ambulances waiting to refuel and there's people in front of them that won't let them
in the queue.
go
We're
through.
queuing in the queue whilst everyone else is queuing in the queue.
People don't care. All I care about is me and my kids. Fuck off.
Well, I'm doing what's best for me and my family.
Mate, fuck
I hate
off.
that statement.
Look after your community, man.
Amen. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
You know what I mean?
But it's things
Align
like that.
yourself to
We're
something
kind of-
greater than
We've been the capitalist society. There's lots of positives about capitalism, despite what people say. But there's huge flaws in it, and it's the regulation of stuff. So we've just let things run with it, and you've got all these big oil companies who can lobby people and pay shitloads of money to put politicians into places. We've just let corruption seep into the whole thing, and the initial kind of idea of capitalism is all right, but the enactment of it has been hideous.
Yeah.
You know, and it's left us all in a situation where we're being told to kind of look out for ourselves, and that in turn will breed a really insular society, so we don't look outside of it, so we don't help each other up. You know, it's like we're all kind of looking out, like I said with you before, the whole I'm looking out for what's best for me and my family. And when did we stop thinking what's best for me and my family is living in a nice, healthy, safe community? We don't anymore. We just look at it as what's best for me and my family in that little box. We don't look at the neighbour. You know, with our grandparents would have been talking over the fence and stuff at each other.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a village. I had huge community there. I go to the same village now. There's nothing.
Well, I said this on the episode before where Manny was on, and I said about because it was talking about religion, and I said one of the things that religion brought was community. And I said you look at Jewish, I know that they've got a heavy sense because we've kind of lost it here with the Christian. There was before you had like the Christian community of people didn't go to church generally to like go and fucking be closer to God. They went there to go as a fucking community.
Yeah, they also got made to go there.
Yeah, do you mean? But like there was that sense of community amongst people of going there. Like, do you mean? And I feel like that's been fucking
like the South Park episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's
when
no,
they will
like,
go to the church and start making jokes about the vicar, and they were together. I love that episode.
That's where the phrase "Sunday best" came from, innit? From church.
Yeah,
They used to
yeah,
put all
yeah.
their jazz rags on and off they go.
but yeah, that sense of community is fucking. It has.
Yeah,
gone.
what is jazz rags?
Isn't that a porno rag?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Glad
You
rags
mean
as well,
glad
mate.
rags? Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, they put on their porno mags and they go to
Make
jazz.
a dress out of some titties and away they go.
Yeah, jokes.
Yeah, so there's very much a sense of community's disappeared from lots
Yeah.
of things, you know, and you can. I think a lot of it stems from being ruled by a government that doesn't really seem to hold communities that are less advantaged in any kind of esteem, you know. So it's kind of, you're only as strong as your weakest link, and we're always going to be as weak as the people who are on the bottom rung, you know. And it's a matter of whether we step on people to get where we want, or we help each other up. And it seems at the moment people are too happy to step on others as long as they get what they want, you know. Like this fuel crisis, like you're saying, people sat in a queue, not looking around and going, yo, that could be my gran, could be my sister, could be anyone in there that needs it. I just need fuel, they can wait. You know? It's a really horrible ethos.
Because there was it was Duncan Trussell, Innocent Zone. I was like, fuck yeah. And it was what he said, I really liked. He said about his right wing and left wing friends. And he goes, I've got friends who are conservatives, I've got friends who are liberals. And he goes, none of them are cunts. He goes, if they seen a child drowning in the river, they would jump in and save them, regardless of who they're fucking voting for. We're concentrating on the wrong things there, people. We're concentrating on the wrong things.
That's the thing. That's like so when you talked about Corbyn, I saw him talk at Glastonbury and it freaked me the hell out. You know, I mean, I went there with the intention of thinking I'm really going to enjoy this. The guy talks a lot of sense in my head, but I left there kind of going, holy crap, that's mildly terrifying. And I kind of weirdly associated it with almost the Nuremberg talks from Hitler. And it was this weird stirring of emotion from a real bunch of people. And it was almost felt like he was trying to enact a kind of class war, you know. So people with money equals bad. But I grew up in a little village, and there was plenty of people who had money that were good people. My brother went to a school called Bishop's around there, and some of his friends I've met in turn, and some of them have got lots of money, but they're all really good people. Yeah. So it kind of taught me to not just presume because you have money equals bad, you know. And like your mate saying, just because they vote Conservative doesn't mean bad. Because they vote this means good. It's a goddamn minefield at the moment. It's really difficult to navigate things.
Because it's that I always because for years I same thing. I was like, money's bad. What's money? Money's root of evil. And it's taken me only recently in the last couple of years, where it's like, well, hang on a minute. No, money just is a tool, and money is a tool that will amplify what you are like anyway. Yeah. If you're a good person, you've got money, you're going to do good things. Yeah. If you're a cunt, you've got money, you're going to be a bigger cunt.
All the philanthropists that are doing good things, they're now getting slammed. You know, it's like George Soros, Bill Gates, people like that have gone out there and gone, yo, I've got loads of money, we can do this, that, and the other. Now these theories come in, and they're kind of like they're trying to implant this, that, and the other, or they're trying to take over this, that, and the other. You're like, what the hell's going on? So we can't even let people who've got lots of money do good things without doubting the credibility of it. And I think that speaks more about society as a whole, of how suspicious we are. Yeah. And again, I think that will lead back to the kind of political structure we've got. So we had New Labour, so to speak, with Blair, but then he took us to war and a lie, so that started something. And then after that you had Cameron, May, Boris goddamn Johnson. You know, you've just got a cacophony and a clusterfuck of shit that we've just not trusted. They've lied so consistently that we've now got a whole swing in the way that we look at things. Like, we used to look at the papers and go, well, they wouldn't print it if it wasn't true, you know. But now you look at it and go, that's probably not true. I don't care if it's in the paper. Yeah. You know, like politicians and things like that. We used to have a modicum of, well, they're trying to do the right thing type thing. We now look at it and go, whose pocket are you lining? Yeah. You know, and that's it. So we've lost trust from the people, for the people above. Yeah. And it's very difficult to regain that trust.
What do you think will happen, or what are you hopeful of? Like,
that's two very different things.
Like, what do you think there are solutions? Do you think they're realistic? Like, what are your views on solutions rather than the issues?
Genocide, mass genocide, fuck it, kill them all. No, it's one of those. So basically, like, other than just mass slaughter of anyone who doesn't vote the way I want them to. It's a really difficult one because we need to change people's minds. But again, like I said, people are looking at you as if you have an agenda. You know, I do lots of good things. I don't talk about it because I don't feel the need to garner that. Yeah. Oh, I'm amazing. Look what I did type thing. Yeah. You know, and it's more a matter of, for me, we need to get to a situation where truth is at the forefront of what people are pumping at you. So I don't want to regulate the media, but I don't think the media should be regulated by themselves, which they currently are. You know, who's holding you accountable? My mate Steve. Oh, well, he's not really going to do anything there, is he? Nah, be all right, slap on the wrist. We'll be good. Print what you want. So we need to start holding media sources and politicians to a standard of if you say something, you have to put your name on it. It's like when I used to work for other people, like doing various building jobs, one of the common things they'd say is, I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm done. They're like, would you put your name on it? I'm not, what do you mean? He goes, so if I came over there, you'd be happy to tell me you did this and take accountability for what happens. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I'll have another look. Yeah. But that's not really what happens now. They just chuck something out, a soundbite, and they spin it. And it's all about manipulating people and getting to where we want. So it's what I think will happen is we're going to continue down a spiral until it gets unfathomably bad. Like, I think we're going to have mass poverty in the country. I think, like, these fuel shortages are just the tip of an iceberg of various different panic and fears that are already installed in people, that we're going to get to a stage where we're going to have to remove the Conservatives at some point. But at the moment, they seem to look like they're going to get stronger and stronger. It's weird. Boris Johnson does something horrible, and his approval rating goes up. It's mad.
So weird.
You know, what I think will happen is that we're going to deteriorate quite a lot because, I mean, with regards to Brexit and stuff, we've cut our nose off to spite our face in the name of patriotism or exceptionalism, whatever they want to call it. It doesn't make sense to any reasonable economist to have done what we've done, but we have, so we now have to deal with it. But we're gonna go down before we come back up, and hopefully we go down to a point of where we don't lose too many people, but then we get some people need to stand up and be a leader, because we've been devoid of any real proper leadership for quite some considerable time. You know, not just as a country, as a globe. You know, I mean, it's strange that that's kind of happened since we've stopped warring so much. You know, but it is what it is. So we need people to stand up who you can trust, which is difficult because people slander them left, right, and centre. That are trying to do things for people. I think if we change the way we get politicians in and the amount of money they get, that the people would have to do it for more of a passion, rather than looking at it as a gravy train. You know? And doing things like that. So you're bringing the people who are in charge back down a bit more to where a realistic stance is sat. You know, which is they don't get £130,000 in 1 year for expenses to decorate their house and ferry their kids to private school. If you want to do that, you pay for it, same as the rest of us. And then it brings them down to a bit more reality. You know, and getting more real people involved in politics. But it's difficult because everyone thinks it's lies. So you end up in a situation where, like someone like myself, a lot of people after I've talked to them have said you should get involved in politics. And I'm like, no, I'm way too easy to slander. You know, I love weed. So it's like straight off the bat, I get poo-pooed. And whether my ideas would be good or not, or whether my ideas would contest them a bit and make them think a bit more, is irrelevant and put to one side because I'm a druggie. You know,
I think
so
as well
with
that sort of stuff as well is like you were saying, like we need someone to come and lead, and with the way of the world, it's like you could get someone that you trust or you think you trust, and then you look at their past and they've made a few mistakes, and then they're slandered, like you say. So it's like
you see that tweet that you wrote
like
in 2009
when you were like 10. Like, do you know what I mean?
So I had this conversation with a couple of guys recently in a little WhatsApp group that I grew up with. And they were talking, there's a football player called Kurt Zouma, black guy, moved from Chelsea to West Ham. One of them commented on the size of his lips. He could stop enough goals with those lips type thing. I'm like, hold the fuck on, boys. It's insanely racist. No, it's not. How's it racist? He's got big lips. I'm like, holy shit. Do you not even understand the connotations of what you're saying and what you're doing and what those things have meant and how they've been levied at people, yada, yada. And we go all the way through it. And then he goes, you used to say something about, like, I used to talk about the Packy shop down the road or something like that when we were like 19. I'm like, that's 20 years ago, man.
Yeah.
You know, I've literally changed hugely. You're still doing the same things you did 20 years ago that you're doing now, and using a 20-year-old conversation we had when I was a kid to justify how you can then go, well, I can say it now because you said it 20 years ago.
It's like,
you know, it's just insane, and that's the slander thing, you know. So it's like we have to start realising that people grow and evolve and become different people. Like, even when I worked with you 10 years ago, I'm a whole different guy. We've talked about this. The difference between me and you and how we interacted with people then versus now, pretty extreme difference. Do you know what I mean? And the difference is I wouldn't trust Gus 10 years ago to do shit. But 10-year-older Gus, I'm kind of like, I'd trust you to do quite a lot of things. You know? It's like, and that's the difference. We're looking at people and going, you were that there. You can't be this now because you were that there. And you're like, we all change, we all evolve, and we all know we do. And we all know this shit.
I think you can tell as well.
Put politicians or leaders or something on this unrealistic pedestal. You know, some of the best people I've met have made hideous mistakes for their life. And they've learned from it.
Before you come in, we were just talking about the girl. What's her name? The one who went off to with ISIS.
Shamima Begum.
So we were just talking about her before, and it's like fucking. She was fucking 15 or whatever. So it's like. What you do when you're 15? I don't know, fuck all. You've basically been fucking kidnapped.
Human trafficked, man.
Let her back
it's like
in.
I said, it'd be like fucking Madeleine McCann turning around being like, hi, I've been kidnapped by ISIS and I really don't want to be here anymore. Can I come
back?
back?
Different.
Not really.
Well, Madeleine McCann didn't really get to choose whether or not she was kidnapped.
But neither did she,
but
as a
kind of-
15-year-old
There's
girl.
a conversation to be had where,
Is there?
even at 15, if ISIS come up to you and you notice it's ISIS, you would have heard of that stuff. So there's a conversation to be had. I'm not saying
If you
dismiss her
hate-
because
if
she
you
didn't,
hate
but there's a
the-
conversation to be had, and you've got to be realistic, and you have to concede a point, so to speak, with the people.
I get where you're
championing.
going.
Fuck her, she went to ISIS. You have to go. Yeah, she may have done that, but she's a different person. That's a few years, and things have changed.
Yeah.
So you have to accept that's what happened.
Yeah.
And don't try and dress it up and make out like she was a massive victim. She had a choice. She made a really poor choice.
See,
Like, fucking
personally,
hideously poor
when
choice.
you're talking about a 15-year-old, I don't think, like, yes, you can say that if you want, but I don't, personally, me, living the life that I've lived, if there was something that I thought was going to rebel against something that hated me or I thought hated me, and I didn't, I don't know, man. I don't
Well,
think...
she's
Didn't
definitely
truly
been
know the
manipulated.
consequences
Yeah.
of what you're doing.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
But
It's like-
she still took that step.
Yeah,
I don't
did,
think she
but
took
I
it
don't-
in a conscious knowing, I am taking a healthy decision here, this is a good
Yeah,
idea.
no,
There was emotions involved in it, except there was also kind of, as a young girl, she's been preyed upon by older men that garner the feelings,
Yes.
and then they'll follow them like a sheep down the road type thing. You see it
Human
loads of times.
trafficking,
Either
man.
like men or women that happens. You can manipulate people with the heart so easily.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Lots of things, you know. But we have to realise and understand that there was an element of conscious thought on her side. She just made some really poor decisions. Same as all of us did at 15.
But I think she
And that
has
shouldn't-
said that, hasn't she?
She should,
So it's
yeah,
like-
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So she
exactly.
should,
You
like,
know?
exactly. It's like
I think
she's
she should be given
acknowledged
another
and
chance,
she's
yeah.
stepped up and said, "What do you mean?" It's like, yeah, and like you say, it's growth. Like, do you mean that person needs to be?
And if anything, if you look at her now, her standing there and like, having to stand in front of the world and admitting, yeah, I fucked up bad here. This was a real bad decision.
Yeah.
You're seeing a much more mature and a much different person than the one you saw at 15 running off.
because
like, off to go and
she
join
could
ISIS
she
or
could be
whatever.
standing there going, "Well, it was their fault.
Yeah.
They did that. They did this."
Yeah.
But to be able to stand there, like you say, and to be
Yeah.
like, "Look,
It's
I
one of them. I mean,
fucked
I
up."
kind of
Yeah.
also look at it and go, put my family in that position. What would happen if that was my sister? Would I want her to come back? Probably. But do I think she deserve it? If she's shown the kind of remorse to a point and talking in the way that she is, I'd be like, we've got to give her a chance at least. You
Yeah.
can't just cut her
Yeah.
off and like rescind her citizenship. Then she's proper fucked. We haven't just gone, you can't come back in. We've taken her citizenship. She doesn't exist, basically.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any way to build herself back up because she's only got to apply for somewhere to be a citizen of somewhere. And they're like, where were you previously? Technically, I'm not a citizen of anywhere. So then, she's fucked.
Citizen of nowhere.
yeah,
Yeah. And then the thing I find ironic on it is people like Johnson or whoever might be talking about it, saying that, she did what she did. She went to ISIS and she should be punished, and all this jazz.
I
It's
think
kind of-
she should be, like, maybe, yeah,
they
I
speak
think
from
really she should, like, because when it was all being talked about, I was like, you bring her back, put her in jail. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we're not paying for her. What do you mean?
It's like these guys talk like they've done nothing wrong. Boris Johnson's only just admitted he's got 6 kids, and he hasn't listed off who he's got them with. He's been fired twice for lying.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
He's got Priti
That
Patel,
was
who was
both-
basically
both
fired for
papers, wasn't
treason,
it? Both
who we've
papers,
paid
like-
£346,000 to fucking pay off people for bullying and harassment in the workplace. The British taxpayer paid off her debt, we've got some unbelievably morally bankrupt people in charge or around the power of this country, and they've got the irony to go, you were 15 and you made a mistake and we're going to fuck you over for it for the rest of your life.
yeah.
Well, when
This
like
mad.
Johnson himself got so much privilege, silver spoon literally in every orifice it'll fucking fit, and it's the irony of that which I find outstanding in it, but they don't even register it. They play on the fears of people, so they use the ISIS and the extremisms, and whenever they talk about it, they don't go, this girl got manipulated. Granted, she made a choice, but she got manipulated when she's young. She now wants to come back after realising her mistakes and wants to make amends for it.
Yeah.
It gets pointed as, this girl ran off to join extremist ISIS terrorists who probably want to kill your family. Now she wants to come back in the country. You're
And
like,
kill your
fine.
family.
As if she still wants to kill your family. You're like, yeah, it's
She's going to
fucked.
come back, infiltrate government, fucking
Yeah.
take it all over, and we'll be under Sharia law.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. We try and hold we hold other people to an unrealistic expectation when
Yeah.
it comes to leaders, etc., and things like that. It's fucked up. We're not realistic when it comes to things like that.
It's people like Edward Snowden that we need. Like, fucking, when he was saying, like, I'm not a hero. Do not label me a hero. It's like, well, what you did was fucking pretty fucking
Heroic.
and I ain't there, mate. Like, do you mean? Fucking,
Yeah.
But yeah, like people like that, the everyday person who's just willing to fucking be like, hang on a minute.
I have very
this is
rarely
happening.
been inspired by anyone I've seen on the screen in any capacity, other than mildly sports, and that would just be to inspired to play more sports. But I've been inspired by countless people that I've just met in the street.
Yeah.
I meet in the pub, and you talk to an old boy that tells you a story, and you're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
man. You know, and that's what we're losing now. We've dressed politics up as Hollywood. We're following it that politics should have a all singing, all dancing, glitz and glamour around it, which in the realism of it is a real nasty, horrible job where you're going to have to make some huge decisions, and the consequences of which are going to impact people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd rather have somebody that's lived a life that's thrown hardships at them and they've dealt with and they've come out the other side of it a better person than someone who, for a lot of what we see in the elites of our politicians, it's someone who's been groomed for the role their whole life. So how do they know what it feels like to be trying to live on universal credit? You know, like Johnson dodged that one the other day. You know, he won't answer whether or not he thinks he could live on universal credit as they cut it off. You know, and you're like, bro, you're giving billions of tax credits to these big businesses, but yet you won't help people out that need food. You know, that's the problem we've got at the moment. Is we've got morally bankrupt people in charge, and people are just clapping because I don't know if it was you I was talking to about exceptionalism the other day. Because people like to think we're Great Britain. We're not just Britain, we're Great Britain. And they like a guy to tell them shit's going well. Like Brexit, great idea, this will be amazing. Tell you what, we'll do this, that and the other.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing, even though the NHS did it, not us. But we did an amazing job, and that's because we're British and we've left this, and we're so much better than everyone else. In reality, we're nowhere near as good as lots of people in lots of things. To say that we're the best of any one thing would be a very difficult thing to pinpoint what. You know, and then we say, the
raping and pillaging.
Well, yeah, we're dynamite at colonising places. We are the only country, I think, perhaps not the only, but one of the only countries in the world that doesn't have a holiday celebrating leaving England. There's every 6 days there's an Independence Day that people celebrate leaving the British Commonwealth.
That's insane,
Isn't it? Mad. You know, that's like the only thing we can claim we were dynamite at.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, but then also that's one of those. We look at that on such a negative way, but so many positives came from it. Hideous shit happened, don't get me wrong, but there's so many positives and stuff that can be taken from things.
I think hideous shit's always happened,
But
doesn't
then
it?
we always look at the hideous shit.
Yeah.
Don't we? We always look at the hideous shit. In the newspapers, we don't see anything good going on. You know?
It's like, you never hear about buses arriving on time to their destinations. It's like, oh yeah, just report every good thing that happened in the world every single day.
Yeah. But it's important that we just, you know, we've got to make sure our mindset's right.
Well, there was a study. I think it was Coca-Cola who did that study. It was on they did a study on like how news travels, and it was like fucking give the person the bad news, like what happened to themselves or whatever, and they'll fucking tell on average, I don't know what it was, 9 people or something. You give them some good news, and they'll only tell like 4.
Yeah.
They're more
The lie
fucking
or,
quick to tell them
old
the
phrase?
shit.
The lie's already made its way around the world before the truth's got its boots on. People just talk rawhide shit at people, and they'll take a lie and run with it. It's like Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
If you sit 10 of you
Bitch
in
on
a
a
row-
pension, suck my dong.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like it's not going to end up when it gets down to him like that. And that's the thing, and we don't really care because it's like, well, the story's still good.
Yeah.
Why let the truth stand in the way of a good story? You know, and that's the problem. We all want entertainment from politics, and realistically, people should get the fuck out of politics. It shouldn't be so televised. We shouldn't be spending millions on a goddamn media room.
Yeah.
You know, there should be an official report that goes, yo, this is what we're doing and this is what we've done. So, you know, it shouldn't be so dramatized because so many people run on emotion. They don't run on they don't have an ability to separate themselves and think logically. They'll run on emotion. And there's so many things with regards to politics that will affect people directly. So then they get emotional about it. So then they're thinking purely on emotion, and they've not gone rationally and gone, okay, this might be hard for 6 months, but then I'm going to see a steady increase in it, you know. So it's going to be hard to start off with, and that will be difficult, but it's either that or I maintain being difficult for the next 20 years. It's like we're never going to really be able to objectively remove ourselves and look at politics and go, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what's supposed to happen. These guys have done this, that and the other. What do we think is going to go on? Okay, let's trust that. You know, we've lost so much trust on people, we're not going to be able to do that. You know, but it's like, it's just a real legit clusterfuck of crap, and I don't know how we get out the other side of it. I don't know what's going to be on the other side. I mean, the climate crisis itself is going to dictate so much more shit for us than the politics.
Yeah.
And the fact that the climate crisis is even political is fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, that people are willing to just ignore the obvious science.
Me and my missus had
Go,
this
well, there's 3
conversation the other day.
scientists there that have said that no, they don't think that might be happening. It's just a normal cycle. And you're like, who's that? Steve from Esso, BP's Roger, and Shell's David. All don't agree with it. Weird that, isn't it? You know, you're like, fuck my life.
Me and my missus were talking about the other day and was like, we were saying exactly the same thing. How fucked up is it that fucking politics is getting in the way of it? It's like, look, this is fucking happening.
Yeah.
This needs to happen. These are the ways that we can, and like it can happen. And it's like,
Because people would
Whose
have to
budget's
do
that
without
coming out
another
of?
car.
Yeah.
People couldn't have 3 cars, or they couldn't have several homes, or this, that, and the
Yeah.
other. They have to change their lifestyles.
Yeah.
And people don't do it. They're not willing to compromise on creature comforts. And it doesn't matter if it's going to kill their kids in the long run, because they're not going to be it.
my dad was at mine a few weeks back, and he come up and he was there. He was like, I don't know why they're always going after the individual. Why are the big people? It's like, well, we're still responsible as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But we like, you can't just be devoid of it because you're not a big polluter like China. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
like fucking, we've all got a role. We can all got shit we can give up. Like, do you know what I mean? We should all be fucking like focusing on it.
Yeah.
We can't rely on them to fucking do it because
community
they're not doing
spirit
it.
thing.
They don't want to do
Community
it.
spirit type stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And it's one of those. Is that again we have this whole kind of freedom of choice type thing. And again, I mean that's a good thing in lots of ways, but in other ways it's fucking hideous.
Yeah.
Because we go, no, it's okay. They can make that choice. They're free to. I'm like, no, they can't, because that directly impacts this and this. That's when you need to cut a lot of that off. You know, like freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of consequence, but everyone seems to think it does. You know, that if you try and say to somebody, yo, you shouldn't
Yeah.
be saying this shit.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be allowed to say that. Or like, oh mate, I've got freedom of speech. I'm like, yeah, you do, but you've not got freedom of consequences.
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
what
yeah,
you put out there, you're accountable for. And
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
don't want to hold the account to it. They want to chuck out a statement that's just flippant and, well, you know, this, that, and the other. And you're
Why
like, you're
can't
going to
people
stand by
just
that, mate?
bite the bullet and go, I made, like, because the one thing that I've realised as I've got older is when I make a mistake, not when I fuck up, when I make a mistake and someone pulls me up on it, I like to be wrong.
I was going to say that earlier
I
on, but
like to be wrong. I
We
like
all-
to
yeah.
be pulled up.
we
so
all need
you
to learn to
Yeah.
move on.
When people
This
are
is
like,
schooling, though.
no, I'm not doing that. It's like, why are you being like that? Do you not want to progress?
Bruv, all through school, what were we told? Wrong is bad.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
through
I guess
schooling,
so.
all through a young age, we're always
Yeah.
told wrong is bad.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
Then you're not kind of like, yeah, no, that's not right, man. This is how this goes.
Yeah.
And this is how this works.
Yeah.
And then you literally, the best thing you can be is wrong. I've said this to you
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
The
yeah.
best thing you can be is wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're open for learning.
Yeah.
That's when you thought you had something, you completely ballsed it up.
Yeah.
So that leaves you completely open to be in a situation to go, yo, somebody teach me.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's fine.
Was there?
You know?
It's like the mindset thing. Yeah, it's like, well, was it Thomas Edison when they say to him, "You like however many times you got it wrong?" It's like you failed. Like how many times? He goes, "I didn't fail." He goes, "I just learned 1,000 ways how not to do it. You didn't fail.
Yeah.
You know, just
Exactly,
learn
yeah.
how not to do it."
But that's the thing, is that, and the people that have that kind of mindset were the ones that are going to take big steps.
Yeah.
But we never want to be wrong. Like, nobody ever wants to be wrong in the whole of society, like Johnson and the leaders and stuff. None of them will go, yo, I was wrong. That was a bad idea. We tried it, didn't work. But we're now going to do this and this to fix it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really bad
Yeah.
idea. You know, it's like they kind of, no, that wasn't a wrong. We just need to give us some time. You know, that'll be okay. And it stems from, I think, a lot of it stems from schooling and stuff. Like when we're at school and told, you know, you can't be wrong, and you're chastised for being wrong, so you're scared of being wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and there's lots of like interesting theories and stuff about being wrong, and there's one kind of like, I don't know about terminology, but I'll call it the God theory. So when we were primitive, we'd see something, we didn't know what it was, so rather than thinking, I don't know what that is and that's fine, that must be God. Because then it gives us an answer, you know. And then as we got older, that you can see lots of different things with like that people have just inserted God into, rather than looking for an answer and rather than finding an answer, they've gone, "This must be God," because that gives them an answer. So therefore, they can't be wrong because you can't disprove it, you know. And it's led us to a situation where wrong is considered bad, you know, which for me is I mean, in the sense of heinous wrongs, you know, crimes and stuff which are brutal. Yeah, that's really bad. But being wrong, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nah.
You know,
There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Amen to that. Especially kids and stuff. Let them be wrong. One of the things I found out is because I went and did something wrong, fucked it up, and then learned, I do it like this.
One of my greatest lessons in life: don't try this at home, or do, or don't. Actually, my bedroom bedside lamp. I was about 7, and the bulb had blown and it was out. And one day I was just sat there and I was about to go to bed and I looked at it and I went, boom, and put my finger inside the fitting. Shot literally, well, it didn't shot across. I was about sat here. I hit the wall, fell down, was shaking. My mum opened the door. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Had 2 little white dots on my finger. I was like, okay, so electric and water doesn't mix.
I
never did it again.
Like playing with electrics.
Yeah.
Without having to learn that.
I know.
Playing with electrics is one of them. You know, we always see those things. I remember we did it fucking years ago with my mate. We was at Queen's Drive and we were all fucked and we like went out and he was front of him. He's like, "Right, get back in." And we can get back in. He's like, boot the door off. I'm like, seriously, it's your front door? He goes, "Fuck it, boot the door off." He booted his front door off, right? Fucking, and he had the electric bodged up on the wires. He had it on a loop and it pinged out. And like none of us knew what it was. So you were like, go down fucking see Auntie and like find out what it was. I was like, I swear it's 2 to 4, 2 to 4. We're all fucking off our heads. He's like, it's 2 to 4, mate, I tell you. It's like 3 in the morning. Walk down the road. I'm like, "Auntie, Aunt." And he's like, "Fuck off." She walked back up. I was like, "Gotta be 2 to 4. I said, "I'm fucking holding this fucking lighter." And Ben's like, fucking 2 to 4. I was like, "Yeah, 2 to 4, 2 to 4. We're going, boom, he fucking shoots half at the stair. Electric box goes up and it's like, I can't see for about 15 minutes. I'm like, I've fucking gone blind. I'm fucking blind. I'm never going to see again. He's fucking halfway at the stairs, like, Mate, it was like one of the things that could have been a horribly lot worse than it did, but the psychopath, like, fucking, yeah.
Have you seen the film The Other Guys?
Yeah.
What's that?
The Other Guys.
What film? I love that film,
It's
man.
amazing. Like when they have that explosion and they're stood in front of it, blows them away, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is nothing like in the film. I got bullshit on that."
Yeah.
It's one of those.
It's like when fucking Samuel L. Jackson and Rock, they fucking jump off the fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Aim for
Yeah.
the bush.
thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, because I was watching it thinking, what's... Oh, they died.
The first time.
Amazing.
That's like spoilers alert. Should have said that. God damn it, it's ruined the film for everybody.
It's a great film.
It's a great film.
Morning, guys. Have a great day.
Dirty Mike and the gang.
We will have sex in my car again.
And then a deer gave birth. Fucking hell. Yeah, that's a great film.
It's like, but what if the tuna develops skills? The tuna get out of the ocean.
Gets operators and then gets a taste for lion.
And they will hunt down those lions.
It doesn't have to be long, maybe 30 minutes, 45, you know. Sophisticated kelp.
Yeah. Good
I
film.
might
man.
watch that tonight.
That didn't turn out like you hoped, did it? Yeah, there's just I feel there's, like I said, we'll go back to that, is the inherent fear of being wrong, and I think one of the ways we get through this is being okay with being wrong, because we become super tribal, and it's like we're in trench warfare, you know, and it's like we're just throwing people up there and that's it, and it's like World War One. You're just pumping people over the top, adding numbers at it, getting goddamn nowhere, you know, and it's like people have got to be understanding that we get influenced all over the place, and check yourself, you know, because we're so easily led. And like you asked me if it was me, if anyone showed me how to do it, but it was just literally me going, "Yo, this is wrong. I must be thinking wrong on this. So I'm just going to have a look at all kinds of different sources, and then look at credibility of a source. And I try to stick with factual as much as I can. You know, emotion takes over sometimes, but try and check it. You know, and it's like we as a society, we need to just accept that we're wrong about so many fucking different things. You know, so many things, you know, and it's like, rather than throwing a negative and poo-pooing everything, start trying to chuck out answers or something as well. Like with these electric cars, everyone like, "Oh, well, you know, there's no point because, you know, the batteries are made by slave kids and it's just as bad." You're like, well, no, it might be bad, but it's not as bad as that. Yeah. So that's a good step. And then we're developing more and more batteries and more different things. Hemp is actually an interesting one they've been looking at, you know, that there's more and more different ways of doing things, and we're evolving, you know, and just because we don't have an answer right smack bang now doesn't mean we shouldn't be working towards the
different
answer.
ones. Hempcrete, fucking that shit's fascinating. Man.
Hemp is an incredible
And it's like
substance.
the old.
Do you know why weed's illegal? Do you know why weed's illegal? Because a hemp company was making rope, and a rope company in America started a slander campaign against them, saying they're smoking it all and this wacky backy is the devil's like cabbage, etc., etc. And then basically they lobbied people because they wanted to sell more rope. So then there was a fake science kind of article got put out there, and that was it. They took it and ran with it, used it as gospel because this rope company made loads of money, and the rest of us have.
There was
Despite the science showing how good it is, you know.
similar thing to that. It's like the recently read a book by Anthony Warner, Ending Hunger, really good book. And in there he talks about the one way that we can feed the masses is the one way that organic farmers won't. And he said you introduce GMO crops into organic farming methods. So you live by the land and you do the rotational crops and that, but you still, when he says GMO crops, he means like self-nitrogen producing things. So you're rewriting the code so they can produce their own nitrogen, things like that.
So you don't
He
need
goes,
to
you don't have to put the fertilizers and
so
shit.
much,
You're not
yeah.
spraying shit on there because they can fertilize themselves with their nitrogen. He said the reason that GMOs were so fucking outlawed by the EU, he goes, it's the same thing as what happened with the corn laws back when the English starved the fucking Irish. And he said it was all political. The aristocrats didn't want the corn coming in from abroad because it would fucking cut it out. So that's what he was. The same thing with the GMO crops. He said was in the EU. He goes, they didn't want cheap GMO seeds coming in, so they fucking made it so it's like so it's a political thing, not a fucking. And he said the more thing you do by not doing that is you then just end up giving patents to people like Monsanto and that, and they're just who are doing it, and they're going to be the ones who control it all anyway because you fucking are not allowing other scientists and people to delve into it.
Was it? It's like a John Voight film or something like that, relatively new one about a farmer who fought against Monsanto because they copyrighted or patented their seed.
Yeah.
And if you're found with that seed without permission from them,
then
then you
have
get
to-
done.
yeah.
You know, and they hit you for loads. And what they found out was this dude he had seeds on his land, but he hadn't sown any of them.
Yeah.
So the seeds had come from like neighbouring farmers who've just gone along and it sprayed it out over there. I can't remember the name of the film and stuff. I didn't watch it, but it looked interesting. I was like, mate, I should watch that. Obviously, it's going to be Hollywood dramatised a bit, but it leads you down a relative path to look.
Yeah.
You know.
Because it is, I mean, it's you're handing power to big companies. Like that. If you're not allowing other scientists and other people to do it, again, you're just handing these fucking rights to big people. Like Monsanto. It's like, yeah, we're going to patent it.
That's where the capitalism falls down for me. I mean,
Yeah.
there's loads, like I said, there's a lot of positive. I mean, if we did want to, I was talking to my friend, there's a book he read by Billy Bragg recently, and he's talking about capitalism and socialism. If we want to change the whole system, everything's got to change in a really dramatic way, which is not going to be easy, healthy, or productive in lots of ways. It's about, we've got relatively good systems. We wouldn't be where we are if there wasn't positives to capitalism. We just need to make sure we check stuff and make sure we're checking loads of different shit, you know, with regards to that kind of things. You know, like the Monsanto stuff. Don't let some dude run off with a patent and go, yo, I now patent all of the soy and you can't really do anything. You know, why is nobody rocked up and gone, yeah, we can change that?
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh with the Americans when they go on about like the guns, which is the Second Amendment. You know, the gun,
You
the
can
gun-
amend it.
It's a goddamn
What do you mean
amendment.
it was amended?
It's literally.
I've never even thought about
It's
that
the Second Amendment.
never
They
thought
changed
about that.
And they're like, you can't change the Constitution. And then how did they put guns in on the Second Amendment? What? And I've had this conversation and it gets sketchy. You know, when you're talking to a gun nut and it's like, and you're kind of like, do you know what the word amendment means? Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. I like those conversations. I'm lucky that I'm 6'5", you know, and people don't tend to give me too much shit. But when there's a gun thrown into the mix, then that goes out the window. But you have these conversations with people, and people don't even realise because they've been told by gun lobbyists that you can't change the Constitution. Well, then why are there amendments? And why was the Constitution amended straight off the bat?
That
And
one
it was
that
actually
fucking,
initially they wanted to, not John Adams, but like Ben Franklin, maybe, or one of the founding fathers. He basically, they said we should change this every 7 years. We should look at this and reflect what goes on with society because
Reevaluate
society
it.
develops.
Okay.
Reevaluate
They say
where
the
we're
same
at.
thing, like it's like when they were talking about the Quran.
every
And they
country
were
has
saying
a
the Quran. They were
constitution.
saying the reason you got a lot of trouble because you got people living their life on a fucking book that was written fucking however many thousand years ago, or
Yeah.
whatever. He says which hasn't been updated to current times.
Yeah.
But going back to the gun thing, the thing what Sasha fucking
Cohen.
yeah, when he was there, he's like, so should we get like 3-year-olds to have guns? Like,
Yeah.
he was like, yeah. Let's start training kindergarten kids with fucking guns, like fucking.
So one of the most interesting questions I gave somebody, and I've never got a straight answer off of any of them. The Americans is like, so why have you got the flag up? Like what? I'm like, it seems a bit weird. I was like, well, in Europe, mainly it's government buildings. You You know, mainly it's just government buildings that have stuff on. The occasional sporting event, everyone has it. Other than that, it's almost associated with being a little bit racist if you've got your national flag flying in your garden. Like, you know, I said, but I was in a place called Ukiah in Northern California, and I'm stood there on a porch, and it's pretty fucking rural, you know. And I think there was one house that I could see out of the like 8 that was around me that didn't have a flag flying on the front. I'm like, don't any of you feel like this is North Korea? Because it kind of looks a little bit like it. And they're like, what do you mean? They get super defensive. And I was like, so why have you got it? And they're like, well, you know, it's because I'm a patriotic American. How does that make you patriotic? They're like, what? I'm like, how does flying a flag you're told you should be flying make you patriotic? Is that not just indoctrinated?
They would. I can't remember why I read it, but they were saying.
How are we doing for time?
They were saying that the Russian or like the Eastern like propaganda, they described it as being very jaggedy, and like the people there they know it's the propaganda.
Yeah.
They say, but why the West is fucking so successful is because it's fucking flawless. You don't even know.
The Pledge of Allegiance that they do quickly whilst we've got time. The Pledge of Allegiance they do every morning was done literally as a racist thing. Like they literally did it because the guy that wanted people that come in, he didn't want to dilute the race with these brown people basically coming in, and he put the Pledge of Allegiance in so that it would be like, yeah, he wanted it. If you looked at the whole thing, there's some anti-black people stuff in there, but they've just fine-tuned. But then that is now done every goddamn morning at school in America. Across the whole of America, they do a Pledge of Allegiance, and you're like, hold on a minute, they swear allegiance to the flag every day. That's indoctrination straight off the bat. And if you've got your kids indoctrinated like that, when you try and implement things like the flag mentalists or whatever it might be, then you've got plain sailing all the way through there.
Mad things. So, Gus, to close, what's your personal meaning of life?
42.
I like that. Is that it?
Well, yeah, did you not get the joke?
No.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They start a computer and they
it.
ask the ultimate question and say, what's the meaning of life?
Ah, right. 42.
Like, what's the answer to life? 42.
I thought you were trying to tell me that you were 42. I was like,
No,
I swear you're
what do
not
I look
even
as the meaning
40
of life?
yet.
It's like I don't think there is a meaning of life per se. You know, it's just
No, what's your personal meaning
my own
of
ethos
life?
is just be good to people, man.
Yeah,
Like,
cool. That's what we're looking for.
yeah, just be good to people and think about your actions, because your actions have ramifications on others. And if you can do stuff which isn't necessarily always just for you, then if you're helping someone else, that comes back.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I thought you were going to say "fuck bitches, get money."
I pondered it.
But even though this conversation was wildly different to the one with Manny,
Most of them, I imagine.
it was
Not really.
no like the whole ethos and the sense of it.
It's pretty much the same.
Even with Johnny Darton,
Yeah.
like the same sort of thing.
Yeah,
Gratitude with each one.
Yeah.
It's gratitude and being good to
Yeah.
people around you. Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting that most people kind of say the same thing for everything.
But half of them are just saying that. It's a hard thing to...
No, I
it's
mean
a
the
hard
people
thing
that
to
come
live
onto
like
here.
that.
On here.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
here.
so-
I don't mean in general.
It's
I
a
just
fucking
mean
hard
like,
thing to live like, though.
Yeah,
To
it is.
actually do stuff that's right and to put yourself to one side, and when you could have all of this, to actually go, no, that's good, we put this here, this here, this here, because this helps. It's a very difficult thing to live by. It's something I strive to.
It's hard as well because it's like
I don't kick
putting
myself.
your mind in the place to do that as well, because it's so easy to just get wrapped up in your
I
own.
don't
It's
kick
like-
myself if I don't. That's the fucking biggest thing. Is it's like with the healthy eating stuff and kicks we've been on. It's like I have cheat days. That's no bad thing. You know, feed your addiction, but rein that shit in.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And it's the same with the greed of stuff. By all means, be a bit greedy and do stuff a bit selfish every now and then, but make sure you overweigh it with stuff which isn't.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard path to ride.
Balance and active life. Yeah. You doing any one's got to go?
No.
No. All right.
That's it, isn't it?
Safe.
Yeah. All right. That was episode 25 of the Gimson and Rosko show.
So,
This is Gus. Big up, Gus.
Safe.
thanks. You guys
Like
are
and
great.
subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Like, subscribe.
Smash that bell
smash
button, you
bells.
fucking...